Welcome back to Ami's House Emergency Podcast, assembling for recent events. Good Lord.
Shmuley v. Owens took a turn yesterday when Rabbi Shmuley put up a disturbing video.
Disgraceful.
Dressed like an anti-Semitic cartoon. I couldn't even watch it. You sent it to me. I watched a few seconds and turned it off.
He looked like you. I'm just kidding.
I wish I had as much money as that cartoon.
Wouldn't it be terrible if you put up like just a selfie and people said, ew.
Take that nose off.
It's my nose.
That's how I look.
Oh, so we've been tracking Shmuley for a long time. Hey, I DM'd him. I invited him on the show. At one point he said sure, but never responded back. I still do. Still want to have him on. I still think it's worth engaging. I have my lines of what I would engage, but I think it's worth calling these things out. And it reached a threshold yesterday when I saw this video. I was waiting, basically. I wasn't saying anything for a while because I was waiting to kind of confront these issues to his face. Man to man, we can have a conversation in this format so we could really flesh these things out. But my biggest issue, and I think everybody realizes this, and I'm sure you would agree, is that this performative, attention-seeking, self-promotional approach to what he's doing, as I said in a video I posted today, is attention-seeking and self-promotion under the guise of advocacy. He has so deeply convinced himself, and I don't think he even truly believes it, but he's convinced himself that he's out there for this noble cause on behalf of the Jewish people, self-proclaiming himself as America's rabbi. And we've made jokes about it, but instead he's going out seeking confrontation, going up to families in the street and poking at a kid who made a funny face at him and saying, "You're an anti-Semite, you're an anti-Semitic baby," blah, blah, blah. And then, going after people who I think are worth criticizing fully, have terrible ideas. He's debated on these public forums on Piers Morgan, Cenk Uygur, and Norman Finkelstein. And most recently, this whole beef with Candace Owens. And these are people I consider opponents, people I would debate, people I would criticize, people, and Candace in particular, I have had contentious conversations with. But in the way he's doing it, he's forcing me into a corner to defend and agree and basically make a case for people that I otherwise would have plenty to disagree with about. But because his behavior is so unbecoming and disgraceful and shameful, it forces all of us to have to confront that, because he doesn't represent me. I don't think he represents the Jewish people. I find the behavior to be so obviously self-promotional. And this recent thing where he put this costume on, and it's just like a fetish for the attention, the thirst, not for Christian blood, but for clicks and attention and clout.
Nobody else can make Candace Owens look good right now, except for him.
I just think like you do a great disservice to the people trying to make the case for Israel, the case against anti-Semitism, to call it out where you do see it. Such a great disservice by making it about you and making it about your elevation of your profile. And I think Candace did him a great favor by elevating all of this trollish behavior. And so at some point when I speak to her about it, if I do, then I would say, like, if there's trolls getting, like, why give it so much attention? Why elevate it? It seems like just drama and theater. And I think her mistakes had to do with extrapolating his behavior, this one attention-seeking rabbi, as some representation of something else going on, this suspicion about Jews. But that's sort of for another time. And I'll make other videos about how she's processed it, and maybe her and I will have a face-to-face confrontation about it. But the point is, right now, I haven't seen very few positive comments on these videos that he's doing, and it's so transparent. And he's calling out Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire, shame on them for like calling out prominent members of the Jewish community who have done a lot of great, incredible work. What's he done? It's like you're calling them out, and it's so clearly clout chasing. It's gross.
And it's a shame because he's such a gifted promotional person. Mm-hmm. If he had someone on his team that could direct that through the right channels, like he's very good at getting attention.
Right.
He just is getting attention in all the wrong ways for all the wrong things.
I guess you got to give credit where it's due. He gets the cameras on him. He gets the opportunities.
I mean, in the worst way. But yes. I'm saying if he just hired somebody and was like, "Yo, don't make these dumb decisions," he could probably be doing a lot of great stuff right now.
But again, even before all the Candace stuff, my big issue was that he gets on these platforms, Piers Morgan stage in front of millions of people, with somebody who has terrible ideas about Israel, about Jews, or whatever. And instead of taking them to task on their ideas, he just starts personally insulting them, making his case look bad. And one thing I've always said is, it's one thing when there's people out there who are like your opponents in every way and are making terrible cases. And like, it's one thing if you're anti-Israel and you're out there going off against Israel. If you're Brianna Joy Gray, fine, despicable. That's one thing, and that can be challenged. It's another thing when people go out there claiming to reflect your point of view, your perspective, and botching it and making it about themselves. That to me is doubly more increasingly self-defeating and hurts more, because then you're just like, now what do I have to do here? I have to defend Norman Finkelstein because this guy couldn't stop calling him names? Norman Finkelstein does the same thing, ad hominem attacks, but don't play that game. I want to have a civil conversation.
Slower.
I don't do the internet. I'm going to make a series, Shmuley Boteach and Norman Finkelstein, roommates. It was a friend of mine's idea, shout out. He gave me an idea, like do a series of them as roommates. What did you do with the milk, Shmuley? There's no more left. This place is a concentration camp. Shmuley goes, I poured out the milk because you're an anti-Semite and you only care about I poured it out because of
If you don't want to do the dishes, then don't complain.
And he's always
when I throw them out.
He's always in a towel, just walking around the apartment. He's just like, this place, you are despicable human being. You're an arch anti-Semite, and that's why you claim that Jews are controlling all the milk supply. You're claiming that Jews are controlling all the dairy supply. Let me explain something. This is why Norman Finkelstein hates Jews. This is why he hates himself. This is why he hates milk.
When you have a woman over in the apartment,
please don't make noise. I can hear you having kosher sex all day, and it's not kosher. This place is you're mowing the lawn. This place is a concentration camp.
It bothers my ears.
Good series.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. But anyway, when people who claim to represent your point of view are going out there making a mockery of it, that's really bad. And then you find yourself in a weird position where you have to defend the people you could otherwise criticize fairly.
So what is someone, I imagine he woke up this morning.
Me?
No, Shmuley.
Yeah.
Rabbi Shmuley, and probably thought to himself,
Oops.
He's in such a corner.
Yeah.
He can't backtrack now. What does he do?
Double down.
He has to, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what he's been doing.
The ego is too strong to admit defeat. I don't know. And he's one who is engaged in debates, and in the video I opened, I happen to have a pretty good memory. He wrote an article years ago when Christopher Hitchens died that said, we learn more from our detractors and our opponents than we do our supporters. We learn more from our critics. So I want him to take everything I'm saying along that same ethic, along that same belief, that same value of appreciating criticism. And yet, the doubling down of things and the misrepresentations of opponents, like Sam Harris used to face this all the time back in the day. Like, he had views on radical Islam, used to talk about criticizing religion. And what people would do is take him out of context and misrepresent Sam Harris's views in order to and criticize that caricature. And that's just a useless, fruitless, exhausting endeavor, because before you even get to the substance of a debate about something, you have to unpack all the falsehoods and misrepresentations. The clip of Candace Owens and me talking with the Muslim Quarter, yes, that clip went around, it went viral, but if you watch the clip and just a few sentences later, I think the best part of the exchange was when Candace said to me, maybe I got it wrong. I don't know, I have to think about that. Like, there was a win in there somewhere, and it wasn't the moment of ignorance that was revealed. Fine, it happens, and it's so tempting to take the win. Oh, how nice! You own that moment. It's like, no, look, people are allowed to not know things. The problem is when you have millions of followers, and then you traffic in that, it becomes problematic. But that's how you kind of deal with it. Not then cherry picking this moment so you could pat yourself on the back. Oh.
If anyone's listening and they want to learn more about him, there's an article on Tablet Magazine. They did a profile of him. He let them shadow him for a little while, and they came out with an article that was very revealing about his relationship to his father, and about how it drives a lot of his behavior.
Go on.
And I think he tried to get it taken down. He was not. He didn't like it.
But he's been open about that, no?
Maybe since then. I think that was the first time. That's the only one I've read.
Do you remember what it said?
It was basically saying his father was very, very tough on him, and a lot of what he does is like reaction to his father and his father's expectations of him.
And he wants love and validation from the world constantly.
Yeah. So I'll try to post the link in here, but he's got stuff to work through, and it's a shame it's being worked through in the most public way at the worst time possible.
Getting millions of eyes on this like depiction, and he can convince himself that he's like, I'm dressing up like this to prove a point. It's like, no. And I saw the most right-wing Zionists online disavowing this behavior because it seems so transparent at this point. Like, what? Basically, if anyone doesn't know, I don't want to draw. I mean, how he dressed up and depicted all this stuff and drinking the fake Christian blood in front of children. It's like, you are giving red meat to all the worst anti-Semites around the internet. Like, you're giving them everything you want on a silver platter. And that is not the same thing as giving a pass to anti-Semites on the internet. But don't tell me you're out there to try to combat people who embolden anti-Semites and then give them every spinning image of a caricature of a Jew for them. who's helping who in that scenario? Are you combating anti-Semitism or are you emboldening it? You're giving them what they want. I don't give them a pass for their anti-Semitism to begin with, the people out there who are now using these images, but you did them a huge favor, and that's a real problem. I wish he was here to talk about it with me. I would talk about it, and maybe it will come. The invitation stands. Maybe I talk like Alex Jones because he wants to debate Alex Jones now. You saw that?
No.
He challenged Alex Jones to a debate.
Great. Where did you think he called his dildo supplier for a sex shop and I was like, I need a nose made.
Oh God!
Can you help me with that? Where do you think you buy a nose like that?
Like a witch's nose or something? I don't know. We can ask him.
Yeah.
Maybe they could sponsor the episode. But anyway, that wraps up that segment. I think disagreeing without being disagreeable is a virtue and something to uphold. And I do think there's a difference between ignorance and hate. And I think that you don't have to compromise your positions and your principles to take people on who are saying problematic things. I think Candace has said a lot of problematic things, especially since our conversation. And there's another conversation to be had. And hopefully it's constructive and civil. But you can't compromise your own integrity and your own principles and your own sense of dignity in the process of doing this. You only do favors for your opponents. So at the end of the day, my God, I think the community, not that I speak for anyone except myself, and you speak for yourself, but to the extent that this is somehow representative or on behalf of any sort of Jewish community, I think we all know it is not. And it's always been that way. And it's a shame. I wonder what it would be like in person with him. I look forward to that conversation. I mean, it'll be interesting and contentious, but who knows? I mean, what do you think?
Here's my call. I think in the next few days, he's going to put out a statement saying, this has been so toxic. The hate I've been receiving is so overwhelming. I'm getting off the internet. And maybe even like saying like I'm going to rehab or something.
Really?
Like a full. I think it's the only way to get out of this. To just say like, all the comments are too much. The vitriol is too much. I'm leaving.
The great irony is like if anybody else, Jew or non-Jew, went online depicting this image that he did, who would be the first one today talking about the arch anti-Semite who depicted Jews this way? Disgusting, disgusting, disgusting. He would be all over that, criticizing this person, not trying to consider any context or humor or joke in it. He'd be all over it. And then he, ironically, took that upon himself to do. It's very deranged. It's very disturbing. It does no favors for any case for Israel or defense against anti-Semitism. It does the opposite. So I wish you well, Ki. I don't know what else to say about that, but people have asked me to comment on it. I was waiting to try to have an opportunity to discuss it face-to-face, and you can have him on the show, and we can confront these issues. Maybe we still will. I don't doubt. I sense it could happen, but in the meantime, yeah, not a good look, Shmuel.
Not a good look, Shmuel.
And it's a shame. It's a real shame. And
be better.
I hope anyone out there who's not connected to the Jewish community or is just looking at this from afar can realize that and separate the individual actions of one from a community. And if you just read the comments on the video, you'll get a sense of that. And this doesn't make the case for any opponents out there or anybody that I've challenged. It doesn't support them. Two wrongs don't make a right. And there are ways to engage with people you disagree with. And there are ways to engage with bad ideas, with better ideas. And so I hope that is the way forward for myself, for our community, and for the Jewish people.
And let us say, Amen.